Hello students and welcome back to our class. In today's video, we will continue our discussion of Lesson 3 of Chapter 1, Psychological Perspective of the Self. Psychologist is probably one of the most popular psychologists, Sigmund Freud. Ano yung sabi niya? Ang focus ng work niya is more of the importance of the unconscious. Sabi pa niya, the mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. Sabi niya, yung mind natin, ang conscious lang nun is just around 1/7. At most part ng mind natin is composed of the unconscious. Freud identified three structures of personality. Ito malamang review na lang to sa inyo. So the id, the ego, and the superego. Si id, ito yung childlike. Ito yung gusto niya, makukuha niya yung gusto niya at ngayon na agad. Okay, I want it and I want it now. Yung ego naman, it works on the reality principle. Parang sabihin niya, wait lang, pag-isipan natin. We need a little bit of planning. Si superego naman, ito na yung moral principle natin. Siya yung nagsabi na bawal yan. Hindi mo yan dapat gawin. Kumbaga, if we give an example, parang si id, yung demonyong bumubulong, si superego yung anghel, at si ego yung gitna na magde-decide at magsasabi ng, wait lang, pag-usapan natin yan. If you look at the image, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina. Si id sasabihin niya, I want it and I want it now. Ngayon naman, si superego sasabihin niya, you can't have it. It's not right. It's not the right thing to do. Hindi tama yan. Pero si ego sabihin niya, pag-usapan natin yan. Pagplanuhan natin yan. Siya yung parang nagiging middleman. Ito another situational example. Sabi ni Id, nagutom na ako, gusto kong kumain. We experience that, syempre. Pag nakaramdam ka ng gutom, gutom ka talaga. Okay? Sasabihin sa'yo ni superego, wait lang, nasa meeting tayo. Hindi naman right na umangasab ka dyan, kumakain ka habang nasa meeting, di ba? You have to be respectful of the people you meet, of the people na kasama mo sa meeting. Ngayon, si ego yung magde-decide what to do. Okay? Siya yung nasa gitna and would siguro look at the balance, iba-balance. Okay, tapusin mo lang tong meeting tapos kain tayo agad. So that's how it works. Kasama din sa diniscuss na Sigmund Freud yung psychosexual stages. There are 5 psychosexual stages according to Sigmund Freud. Ano yun? Yung una is the oral stage or birth to 1 year. At yung erogenous zone sa stage na to is the mouth. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, yung fixation ng bata pa tayo is focused on the mouth. Diba? Minsan nagta-thumbs up. O kaya yung pag-dede or breastfeeding. Okay? The next stage after that is the anal stage. Okay? Kung saan ang erogenous zone natin is nasa bowel and bladder control. Ito yung time na nagpapati training na tayo. Sinusubukan natin, pinipilit natin i-train yung, or pinipilit tayo ng magulang natin na i-train kung kailan at saan, paano tayo dapat dumumi. Hindi na nagda-diaper. Okay? And the third one, we have phallic stage, 3 to 6 years old. Kung saan yung erogenous zone natin is nasa genitals. Ito na yung panahon kung kailan nagiging curious tayo about our body parts, specifically with our genitals. Okay? And then the fourth one is the latent stage, 6 to puberty. Inactive yung libido natin kasi we are focused on a lot of things. Okay, nag-focus tayo. Usually, we learn sports, o kaya nag-aaral tayo, kunwari, diba? So, nagiging latent yung libido natin. Hindi siya active. And lastly, we have the genital stage, puberty, until mamatay tayo. Okay, ito na kung kailan nagmamature yung sexual interest natin. Again, there are 5 psychosexual stages. The oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital. Yung ego, they develop during the oral stage. Kasi since panganak tayo, meron ng ego. Because this is composed of our needs. Ano yung gusto natin, ano yung kailangan natin. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo din, yung ego, di ba sabi niya, I want it and I want it now. Since bata pa tayo, ganun na talaga. Imagine a baby, di ba? Nung pinanganak siya, pag nagutom siya, iiyak siya. Wala siyang pakialam kung kakatulog lang ng nanay niya. Basta gutom ako, kailangan kakain ako. Because the ego develops starting from birth. Okay. Superego develops during the phallic stage. Kasi superego is more of yung social expectations natin, ina-absorb natin. Siyempre, we have to learn those expectations first. Kaya nagde-develop siya during the phallic stage pa. Ay, ito, favorite ko to. Siyempre, hindi to galing kay Sigmund Freud mismo, no? Pero these are bloopers and stages of human development. I just saw this sa internet. I don't really recall saan ko nakuha specifically. Pero I just find it funny and really, parang totoo naman kasi. Okay, sabi niya, birth to 2 years old, pakyutan ko no. 3 to 8 years old, paramihan na ng toys. 9 to 18 years old, pataasan ng grades. 19 to 25 years old, padamihan ng syota. 26 to 35 years old, pagandahan ng asawa. 36 to 45, palakihan ng income. 46 to 55, padamihan ng kabit. 56 to 70, padamihan ng sakit. And 70 above, pabonggahan ng living. Okay, so I just inserted this kasi medyo I find it funny. Now, let's proceed with the psychological defense mechanisms. Ano ba to? These are strategies that we use unconsciously to protect ourselves from anxiety arising from unacceptable thoughts or feelings. So, halimbawa, may mga pangyayari na hindi natin matanggap or kaya may mga pangyayari na causes anxiety, our mind works amazing ways, different ways, for us to avoid such situations. Okay? So, pag tumingin kayo sa internet, actually, there are different numbers of psychological defense mechanism. Minsan 12, 15, 20. But in our class, we will only focus on the 10 psychological defense mechanism. So, una we have is denial. Denial, sabi dyan, refusal to recognize a threatening situation. So, may mga bagay na hindi natin matanggap, at yung gagawin natin, itatanggi natin siya. Kung mapapansin mo, actually this is common pagka nawalan tayo ng mahal sa buhay. Merong period kung saan sabihin natin, parang hindi totoo, parang hindi ako mapaniwala. Kasi malakas pa siya nung huli ko siyang nakita. Things like that. Those are denial. Okay? Next, we have repression. Repression, sabi dito, is pushing threatening situations out of conscious memory. Ano yung nangyayari dito? An example of this would be people na na-rape, especially at a young age, okay? Na-rape at a young age, tapos, when they grow old, they don't have a recollection kung ano nangyari. Hindi nila naalala that they were actually raped when they were a child. Kasi, sobrang anxiety yung dala nung experience na yun, that your mind actually repressed that experience. Tinanggal niya of your conscious memory. Nilagay niya sa yung unconscious part of your mind. Okay? And the third one we have is rationalization. Okay? Anong meron sa rationalization? We make up acceptable excuses for unacceptable behavior. Halimbawa, gawain ko to kaya natatawa ko. Okay, halimbawa, dati, syempre hindi na ngayon, dati, magja-jogging, pero pagkatapos, kakain. Okay, sabihin mo, okay lang, kumain ako ng cake siguro kasi nag-jogging naman ako kaninang umaga. Okay, rationalization. Nire-rationalize mo yung isang bagay para maging acceptable siya. Kahit alam mo sa sarili mo na hindi naman talaga dapat. Okay, so we have denial, repression, rationalization as our first three psychological defense mechanisms. The next two psychological defense mechanism that we will discuss are projection and reaction formation. Focus muna tayo with projection. Ano yung projection? Yung projection, placing one's own unacceptable thoughts onto others. Halimbawa, galit ka sa isang tao. Pero sabihin mo, ay nako, galit naman kasi sa akin yan. Pero ang totoo, ikaw yung galit. Okay, pinoproject mo siya. Pinoproject mo yung feelings mo, yung behavior mo to another person. Another example would be if you are cheating. Ang hilig ko sa cheating na example, no? If you are cheating, kunwari you're cheating, pero ang sasabihin mo, pakiramdam ko nag-cheat siya sa akin. But in reality, you're the one cheating. Pero pinoproject mo yung behavior na yun ang unacceptable thoughts mo, dun sa partner mo. So that's projection. On the other hand, we have reaction formation. Ano naman yung reaction formation? Reaction formation condemns something that has an unconscious appeal. So, something na feeling mo hindi tatanggapin ng ibang tao. Ano ba yun? Sabihin mo, ay nako, grabe nga yung mga naninigarilyo na yan. Pero in reality, naninigarilyo ka pala. Pero you form a reaction into something na feeling mo mas acceptable for other people. Okay, kahit na hindi talaga yon yung reaction or yung opinion mo. Next, we have displacement. And in displacement, you transfer emotions or behavior to another less threatening. Ano ang halimbawa nito? Halimbawa, nag-break kayo ng jowa mo or nag-away kayo ng jowa mo, tapos ang gagawin mo, sasuntukin mo yung pader. Bakit ka sa pader naglalabas ng sama ng loob, walang ginawa sa'yo yung pader? That's displacement. Kasi feeling mo yung pader hindi makakalaban sa'yo. Another example, okay, nagtatrabaho ka, pinagalitan ka ng boss mo. Hindi makasagot sa boss mo kasi boss mo yun eh, di ba? So, ang gagawin mo, pag uwi mo sa bahay, ang inaway mo, yung asawa mo, o kaya yung anak mo. Kasi feeling mo, they are less threatening than your boss. Okay? Next, we have regression. Falling back on childlike patterns as a way of coping with stressful situation. Yung most common na example ng regression, as far as I know, is, halimbawa, yung mga kids na nagkaroon ng baby sister or baby brother. So, hindi na sila yung bunso. Ngayon, dahil medyo na-threaten sila na hindi na sila yung bunso, ang gagawin nila, they will fall back to their childlike pattern. Halimbawa nun is, magwawet uli sila ng bed. Okay, magpapa-baby uli sila. Kasi gusto nila, i-assure yung sarili nila na sila pa rin yung baby. Or they are threatened by the new baby sa family. The last three that we have are identification, compensation, and sublimation. Identification, anong meron? You try to become someone like someone else to deal with one's anxiety. Usually, nangyayari to with high school students. You want to belong, ayaw ma-exclude sa grupo, di ba? So, you try to be someone else. Kahit hindi ka kikay, magpapakikay ka to belong to the group. Okay, you try to identify with the group. Next, we have compensation. Okay, trying to make up for areas in which a lack is perceived by becoming superior in some area. Siyempre, hindi naman tayo magaling sa lahat ng bagay. May ilan sa atin magaling academically, meron sa sports, meron sa performing arts. So, ang gagawin mo sa compensation, for example, you're not good academically, you will try to focus and exceed kung saan ka talaga magaling, which is, for example, sports. So, yun yung compensation. Try to compensate dun sa feeling mo lacking ka by focusing on another na magaling ka. Lastly, we have sublimation. Sublimation is probably isa sa mga interesting for me. Turning socially unacceptable urges into socially acceptable behavior. Baka siya interesting sa akin kasi yung sublimation, ang ginagawa mo dito, halimbawa, gusto mo laging manakit ng tao. Di ba? Meron kang urge na parang gusto mo laging manapak, manampiga, ganyan. Pero alam mo, hindi siya acceptable behavior. Anong gagawin mo ngayon? Ngayon ang gagawin mo, magsasali ka or magpa-participate ka sa boxing. O kaya sa rugby na sports. Bakit? Kasi doon, yung panununtok is normal. Panununtok is acceptable. So, ginagawa mo yung unacceptable urges mo, ginagawa mo siyang acceptable. Pero syempre, within a context. So, those are 10 psychological defense mechanism. On our next video, we will discuss our 6th psychologist, Albert Bandura. He proposed the self as proactive and agentic. That's the end of our discussion. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening. Bye, class!